welcome to Lynx River Talk. Today we've got a couple new characters for you, and then we are going to jump into our summary of Season 1, Episode 3, Road Not Taken, and then we'll move on to discussion. Got the introduction of George Smallboat. He's friends with Leon and the other town drunk.
And he has a cool name. It's Alan Little Mustache. That's his actual real name in real life.
And here we got this gorgeous overview of the town from this episode that we thought we'd love to include. You don't get to see it very often, so
Good point.
you can really see the town right in there, so it's nice. And then we've got the introduction of Wayne Dela, played by Cam, and he is the eldest child of Rosie and Leon.
Yeah, this is the first time we hear him speak.
Yes. So, in this episode, we start off with Peter gets Willie to keep the gas locked up from the surveyors as he doesn't want them around. So.
Yeah, they're trying to survey to put in a road.
Eric asks Willie to open it, and Willie claims he lost it, of course. Eric cuts the lock.
Yeah, so they get to it anyways. Then right after we have Al Bishop, the pilot, flying and dropping flowers from out of nowhere.
Yeah. And then Eric warns Peter about interfering with the surveyors.
Yeah, Peter doesn't seem to really take them all that seriously, though.
And Al, handing out flowers all over town, gives a bouquet to Ellen for Sarah.
So, and then Peter tries to make the band council pass a resolution to ban the surveyors from the I think it's 25 kilometers or less from town.
Yes, I think so.
And the council isn't really all that happy with it. That they weren't consulted.
Yes, before Peter did anything, he was already trying to stop them and everything before consulting with the council, so they weren't happy with him, so they refused to vote on it.
Yeah. So.
And Sarah tells Ellen it's over between her and Al and mentions a bimbo in Fort Simpson.
Yeah.
Who we later find out is named Nancy.
Yeah.
Hi, Nancy!
Yeah, it's just some character that just pops up from out of nowhere.
Well, not really a character we don't ever see.
True,
her.
true. So then Leon, we hear from Rosie, has been on the wagon for a couple days. She tells Al, which is good news.
Jerry wants in on the road meeting, of course, because the road means more traffic, which equals more money.
Cash flow, baby, that's what Jerry's all about. And then Eric asks Michelle for the story with Al and Sarah. It seems like he's a little bit interested in what was going on there. And then she says they broke up just before Eric came.
Yes, if you remember in episode 1, at the very beginning, actually, we see a confrontation between Al and Sarah. It's very hard to see. It's just as Eric's right there at the plane when he lands. It's in the background, Al and Sarah arguing.
Yeah, and it's a good point because you wouldn't really think to look for it. You know, you don't know the connection between them.
Yes, because we only learned their connection in this episode. So
a little bit of backtrack information there. So then the resolution passes that Peter was trying to pass. He brings it to the band or to the detachment office, and the Mounties say that it's not going to stand up. They can't enforce it.
And Al comes to see Sarah, says he loves her, and she kind of just laughs. And that is when we find out the bimbo's name is Nancy.
The bimbo. So then
Sarah, and he gets her to admit, though, that the sex was great, but that's all it was. And Al proposes.
Yeah, he just from out of nowhere just drops that in there. And then Rosie shuts out the surveyor team, won't serve them dinner. It's not time to close yet.
It's 8:30, and they don't close until 9, but she closes up early and refuses to sell them anything.
But TV's there with a couple of chocolate bars he's willing to part with for $10 each.
I thought they were like flat. I thought they were like jerky.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe actually. You're right. Like
I don't know.
I don't have the best eyesight. But anyways,
Maybe I'm wrong
they
too.
pass on it anyways.
Yeah,
pretty pissed
$10
off.
each. Yeah, and a TV offers for $10, and Joey throws them each.
Mm-hmm.
And then Al barges into the hotel room where Eric, Jerry, and Sarah are talking. I don't think it was the hotel room. I think it was Jerry's trailer.
Oh, maybe. But at any rate, he says he's just having dinner with Sarah.
Yeah, no, he's going.
Matter of factly.
He's gonna be having dinner with Sarah, so it's like, okay, I'll just leave. But then Eric leaves because Al has wine. Eric was leaving anyways, and Sarah, upset, just leaves, walks out, and Jerry is happy because Al showed up with some booze.
There's some wine. So
with something in this dry town.
Yeah. And then Al shows up singing outside of Sarah's. And she yells at him to go away, and then that doesn't work.
Michelle shows up and tells him to go home or jail, and he jumps off of the railing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he jumps basically off the edge of the stairs.
Yeah, well, he goes off the railing.
Yeah, off the railing. So then starts singing again and then falls down again. So he's obviously drunk.
Surveyors tried to leave, but there are leaves in the engine.
Yeah, so Willie says, he can fix it, but it's going to take a couple hours.
And Michelle tells Eric about Al's proposal.
And then Eric, obviously seems kind of interested again in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Al apologizes and proposes again to Sarah. And Sarah says no, and he kind of just loses it in the health center. Completely. Poor pregnant Ellen goes running and gets Eric.
Yeah, so he comes, but Sarah covers for Al, like she's upset with him, but she obviously doesn't want him to end up in jail.
Yeah, well, and he cooled down. At that point he had stopped throwing stuff and everything, but Eric tries to put a peace bond on Al, and Sarah, he almost had her going for it, but there's just too much legal proceedings and stuff. Sarah just didn't want to be involved with it.
Yeah, and then Eric actually talks to Al personally and threatens him with an assault charge if he doesn't leave her alone.
Peter suggests if they have a road, it's not going to help with the job situation because the whites will take all the jobs. And Leon counterdicts with saying if we have roads, well, we will have a high school, we'll have our kids educated so that they can be the ones getting the jobs.
Yeah, and George actually chimes in with the point that they elected Peter and he doesn't really listen to them.
Yes, and then Al complains to Sarah about Eric threatening him, and she tells him to go.
Yeah, and so Al starts flipping. He actually goes into the store and starts taking all the romance VHSs and tearing them up and pouring ketchup all over, and it gets pretty crazy. Yeah,
a survey team accuses the town of stealing equipment, and then we've got Wayne comes to get into the detachment and gets Eric, where he finds Jerry and Al having a huge confrontation, because as Wayne says, Jerry's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Because of course, Jerry being this huge penny pincher, loving money and everything, some guy come in and wrecking all of his merchandise is bound to piss him off. So.
Yeah, we kind of could see that coming. So
and that leads to Al's arrest, of course.
Yeah, he ends up getting put in the bucket. Then Michelle tries to get the equipment from Peter, but then Peter just denies involvement. And we find out really right away after that TV and Joey were the ones that actually stole it.
A $20 reward for the equipment is offered from Peter. And then Al pleads to get out from jail from Eric, and Eric ends up letting him out, saying, okay, you just kind of got to go for the tapes, and he lets him offers him to use a shower. And I was like thinking about it where he's just gonna behave for like a split second. We see ya.
But then
we
what
see
happens again?
We saw you, Al, checking the water temperature and everything. You were behaving for a split second.
Yeah.
And then.
But
Then the whole town wakes up to this beautiful singing. Just kidding, Al. This horrible serenation from Al.
It wasn't even a serenation
singing
at
on
that point.
top
That
of.
time it was like he was singing some kind of Irish drinking song. It sounded like or something. But anyway.
Singing on top of the church. And Eric tries to get Sarah to help. Doesn't really work too well.
No, she tries for a few minutes and then takes off because she's literally mortified, obviously.
And Peter gets a fax from Harris, and survey team has been ordered out by Yellowknife.
Yep. So basically, he tells them to hit the road, and either that or they're gonna get a Mountie escort. He says.
Or he can get him a Mountie escort if he wants. But they're a little tied up at the moment.
Oh, yeah. So then Eric tries to talk Al down, and he uses the tactic, because Al thinks that Eric and Sarah are involved, and that's why Sarah doesn't want to be with him. So he tries saying that it's all over between him and Sarah, even though they haven't actually been involved. And then Al just jumps.
And Joey returns the equipment and gets beat up for it.
Peter comes running up in his Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, and then Michelle demands that they leave right away, and they need to airlift Al out immediately. He's in pretty bad condition.
Yeah, it's pretty serious.
Michelle is mad at Peter, obviously, for the surveyor interference. It was just more of a hassle than it needed to be. And the road is now going to be built around the town.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, it could be almost worse, because the way Peter had wanted it it seemed like he had wanted it through the town, but just once they were more established.
Yeah, he wanted to do it once they were under
Yes,
self-government.
but now that's not going to be possible.
Yeah, so now somebody else will be reaping the fruits of the road.
And Al has, we find out Al had a concussion and multiple fractures. And,
Yeah, so Sarah breaks down. She's really upset about being embarrassed because you can tell she's kind of a private person, and her whole reputation has been kind of drug out.
And she says she's been there 4 years, and through that entire time she's kept everybody at arm's length. The only person she's somewhat friends with is Michelle and Ellen.
Yeah. So then Eric, we see he calls home, talks to his daughter.
Lisa.
And Lindy, again, his wife, will not come to the phone. So things are not going well with him on the home front as usual.
Okay, that is it for our summary. What do you think of Al Bishop? So in this episode, we learned and we found out quite a bit more about him and his past relationship with Sarah. What do you think of him?
I think he's the kind of guy, he's kind of goofy, on the surface, but I think, if you really think about him, he's a good guy, And you see Sarah at the end of this episode, right? She looks at the ring.
Yes, at the very end of the episode, you get this glimpse of Sarah looking at the ring and then looking at herself in the mirror, and it's almost like she regrets her decision, but she can't make herself.
She's just
she can't let herself
that type
feel.
of person that can be in that type of relationship at this point, I guess.
Do you think Sarah should have given him another chance and accepted his proposal?
That kind of goes hand in hand, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not so sure I would have said yes.
Before any of the nonsense happened, do you think she should have given him another chance and accepted his original proposal?
I'd say no. I mean, Like
I
she does seem like she's not really ready to be married.
but either way, I'd say give him another chance at least though, because
I agree with that. Maybe at dating.
Well, her point was that there was some other girl in Fort Simpson, but she had also said that there was no strings attached. Like this was not a relationship. This was just kind of like a fling. There was no strings attached or anything. So he didn't cheat on her. It's just there happened to be somebody else because she's not giving him everything.
Yeah.
So I think he deserved a second chance, and he was a good guy. But yeah, I don't think she was obviously ready for the proposal. But otherwise, I don't see why. Other than that, though, other than her personal feelings towards, I'd say go for it.
Yeah.
So I'd say give him another chance.
I agree. So. Do you think a road through town would have more positive or negative effects on the community?
I don't know. There's so much back and forth possibilities. I'm not gonna pick, but I just more positive things come to my mind. Of course, there are obviously the huge downfalls either way, but if the only choice is it going around your town or through it, it's way better to go through, because if you're going around, you're never going to get that those opportunities at all then.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm with you. I kind of see both sides of it.
But yeah, the high school seems to be their hugest point is to keeping their children around.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to do that and to be able to keep their children around through generations and generations and generations, and being able to give them jobs and stuff in the community, that's not going to happen if they're going off to high school, because maybe they'll just stay in that area then or move on.
Yeah, but I can see how some people would be like, hesitant because it can bring in bad things too.
Well, like I said,
it's easier to smuggle in booze. Other bad elements can come into your town. Your town's going to become more built up. Your nice little town of Lynx River isn't just going to be that nice little town anymore soon, right?
True.
But, yeah.
So we want to know your opinion. What do you think? Do you think there'll be more positive or negative effects on the community? Now, why do you think Peter tried to shut it down before asking anyone's opinion? I think, honestly, that's just the way Peter is. He in a way, he's a good chief, but in others, he's not. He doesn't seem to consult his people much. He seems to just think, hey, I know what's best for my town, so I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. But that's not what you're there for. You are an elected official to speak for them. I don't know. That's my opinion. He does a good job in many other aspects, though.
Well, he comes across arrogant in situations like that. It's like you say, he thinks he knows better, and it's like he thinks that they don't really have any. It's like they don't have the skill to deal with these situations he believes or something. So he's going to deal with it for them almost, right? Like when it comes to business or government policy or anything like that. But that's my opinion. But like you say, I do agree. In general, he's a good chief. He cares.
Exactly. So, for you amazing North of 60 fans, we asked, what show would you recommend to North of 60 fans? For all of you who are watching this show with us for your 800th time or your first time, we figured maybe you guys needed an extra show. So do we. So from JS and Dion, they recommended Blackstone, which looks like a great show. We've got some great cast members from the show. We've got Michelle Thrush, who plays Sylvie Lebret. We've got Nathaniel Arcand, who plays William. Those people will come into the show later on.
Yeah, I'm not trying to spoil it for you, but these guys
Tantu Cardinal as well, who plays Benny Moses later on. And then we've got the lovely Gordon Tatusis, who plays Albert. So it's got
star-studded cast.
It's got quite a few cast members that we know and love in it, and the show looks very intriguing nonetheless. Lori recommended Trickster. Now, this is another one. It had a very short summary, though, so I'm not 100% sure what it is about, but it did look interesting. Another Indigenous show. as it looked almost like it could be almost like a Nevada thing where we'll see him later on, but where it's almost a male prostitute by the title sound and by the short summary that I got. Not 100% sure.
Yeah, you're gonna have to help us out with these because all of these are suggestions, and actually we haven't watched any of these shows.
Yes,
so.
we will probably get into them after this. We might even make videos on one of them after. If you guys like the whole any intriguing, let us know in the comments. Val also recommended Mohawk Girls, and those are the three shows that were most recommended. And then we've also got a couple movies that were recommended as well. Tanis recommended a short called For Angela. It is with Tina Keeper, who plays the lovely Michelle Kennedy. This looked like a really heartwarming short documentary about this mother and daughter and racism on a bus in Winnipeg. Very good, great looking short film, and I definitely will be watching it. And lastly, we got Shirley, who recommends Dance Me Outside, another film with Adam Beach, who later plays Nevada. Anyways.
I'm just giving a shout out to Nevada.
What other shows would you recommend? We want to hear. We will definitely look into them, and we might end up doing more of this.
Yeah, if possible. Or another thing is too, give us your opinions on those shows, like that we just mentioned, because I'm sure a lot of you people have watched them. We haven't yet.
No, I just heard of the Blackstone one and Trickster. Look really intriguing, and the movies as well. And Mohawk Girls is interesting about a group of teenage girls, Indigenous girls. All of them look great. So yeah, we want to hear. Facebook, email, facebook.com/LynxRiverTalk, LynxRiverTalk@gmail.com. Share with us your discussion topics, questions, etc.
And like, share, and subscribe. Sharing is the most important thing that's going to help us expand our show. So we really appreciate you watching. And that's another week. What's the episode next week? Can't remember. We had it written down. But anyways, we'll be back next Sunday with another episode. Thanks for joining us with Lynx River Talk. Talk to you later.
Bye.